If you are brand new to this, welcome. I'm excited that you're here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending your time. If you are not brand new, you know how it works. I answer the questions in the order in which they are received. I do my best to answer everyone's questions. Sometimes I get going on my tangents. So just if you know somebody that has herpes, if you know somebody that needs to hear this information, please share my page with them. Please share my research with them. It is Life with Herpes. I have been living with herpes since 2011. I was diagnosed with herpes down there since 2011. So I have been married with it. I have had a baby with it. I am a mommy with it. I've gone through my 20s. I've gone through my 30s. I'm now in my 40s. So I have definitely lived with herpes, and I'm excited to, well, excited is but I'm excited to be able to have the opportunity and the platform to be able to share this information with you. Like, you all know that when you are diagnosed, it is absolutely devastating and can be really hard. It can just be emotionally hard. So I'm excited to be here with you. All right, let me see what questions we have. Let me scroll through. Like I said, I answer the questions in the order in which they are received. I've had a friend who's had it for years. She never had any symptoms. Yeah, so that's actually very common to not have symptoms. It's more common than not. Most people think that it's the classic Google, research of like what it's going to look like, meaning it's going to be like these blisters all over your body and things like that. While you may get blisters, they can look very different. So they can look like one blister, they can look like a paper cut, they can look like a cluster of blisters. They can all look very, very different. And those are some things that we can be aware of. So a lot of times people might say, well, I don't have any symptoms. Well, maybe they get a paper cut here and there and they think that their paper cut is from shaving, or they think it's from their thong, or they think it's from tight jeans or something like that. And then all of a sudden they get an outbreak or they get tested and they're like, well, I've never had any symptoms. But if you are someone that doesn't have symptoms, I can tell you I am jealous, and I know there's a lot of other people that are jealous of that. So that's a very awesome thing. And most people are asymptomatic for herpes. Most people don't get symptoms because most people don't. They just are never diagnosed and don't know they had it. Thank you for sharing. I am talking about this publicly so that I can support other people that need to hear this information. That is my goal. That is my purpose. And that is why I'm here. So let me just keep looking. Does a negative PCR DNA test where they took the swab mean I am good? Let's just our herpes diagnosis. There's 3 ways to be diagnosed with herpes. Number 1 is a clinical diagnosis. That would mean when you have signs and symptoms of it, you go to your doctor and he or she looks at it and goes, it looks like herpes. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it must be a duck, right? So if it looks like it and you're experiencing the symptoms, that can be a clinical diagnosis. The good news is if you can get the antiviral in your system soon, if that's something you want to do. If that's not something you want to do, then that's fine too. The downside to a clinical diagnosis is that you don't know what type you have. So where you will know, the location that you have it, you'll be like, oh, I have it here, I have it there. The location, you don't always know what type. It could be type 1, it could be type 2, you don't know. Then there is a swab test, which is what you were asking about when you get swabbed for herpes. And you have to have so I'm answering that right now. So you have to have an active blister in order to swab something, right? So like if you don't, there's nothing to swab, then like if you just swab like your face or something, like if you swab my face right now for herpes, it would be negative because there's nothing there to swab, right? You actually have to have the viral DNA present. Now there is a slight chance it would be positive if I was shedding the virus, but chances are slim, so it would be negative. So if there's nothing there and people swab you, then there's nothing to swab. Does that make sense? But a PCR test, as far as that, I'm not sure. Okay. So does a negative PCR DNA test where they took a swab and blood mean I'm good? Okay. So back to the swab. So if they swab your outbreak, they swab your blister, and it comes back negative, there's a couple of things to think about. Number 1, did you have a blister? Number 2, is it healed? So sometimes if you get to like the crusty, it's like it has like a scab on it, then you may test negative because the virus may be kind of done. Or if you swab too soon before you actually develop blisters or there's like that ooey gooey stuff, then you may test negative. So if they actually got in there and there was like ooey gooey, you know, like stuff, like you're in it, and you tested negative, then it must have been something else, right? Definitely get that clarified from your doctor. And if you have it again, go back and get tested. Now, the third way to get diagnosed with herpes is to have a blood test, okay? So the pros and cons to this is you know what type you have. You'll know if it's type 1, you'll know if it's type 2, but you won't know where it's located. So unless you actually get a blister, unless you actually get an outbreak, you won't know where it's located. So there's people that get blood tests like, yeah, I have HSV1. Oh, it must be oral. Not necessarily. It can be down there too. You just don't know. The good news with that is if you test positive, then you're positive. I mean, that may not be good news, but like the good news is you know. The downside to that is it may take your body a couple of weeks or months to even develop the antibodies. So you can have people being misdiagnosed, meaning let's say today's Friday. So let's say last weekend you hooked up and you're freaking out and you're like, let me go get a blood test, and your blood test comes back negative, but your body hasn't had the opportunity to manifest an outbreak, or your body hasn't had the opportunity to create antibodies. That could be a false negative. Does that make sense? So for your situation, Jake, if you've gotten a negative test, but you're experiencing outbreaks, I would go back and get tested in a few weeks. If it's something that you're like, I'm just still worried about it, I would still go back in a couple of weeks and get tested, if that makes sense, just to confirm that it is a negative. Yes, Mike, it is the gift that keeps on giving. Yay. Always attached to that one person. It's like the Usher song. There's always that one person that will always have your heart. There's always that one person that you will remember. Never forget that person. The worst thing is not knowing who gave it to you because it was dormant for so long. Okay, so let's talk about that. As we were just talking about, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's that person you'll always be attached to. You may never know where you got it. So if you've never been tested for herpes and suddenly you get herpes, you may never know. You may have had it for years. It may be a recent person. The best way to know is like if you test positive and then your current partner tests positive, then like it's probably from that person. If you've been getting tested all the whole time and testing negative for herpes, then you probably know. But if you've never been tested for herpes, then you just don't know where it came from. Can you repeat that? What does a negative PCR swab mean? So yeah, I think I just answered that. A negative PCR swab would most likely mean that you're negative. However, if you test too late or you don't test when there's viral DNA, you could actually have a misreading. What if there is an open sore yet you're still negative? If there's an open sore and you're still negative, then you're probably meaning that you're negative. I would go back again. I would get another blood test in a couple weeks to confirm, just to rule it out. I think you'd want to rule it out. At least I would. Okay. Does the medication help the sores go away faster? Okay, there's a couple different types of medication we can talk about. There's medication that's prescribed to you by your doctor. It's called the antiviral. Well, it's an antiviral. It's usually Valtrex, valacyclovir, acyclovir. Those are prescribed to you by your doctor or your healthcare provider. And it basically what it does, it keeps the virus dormant in your system. It lessens the transmission rate by 48%, and it does a good job of it. It also helps speed up the recovery. So when you have an outbreak, it actually speeds it up. It speeds up the time that you would have an outbreak. If you get it in your system in the beginning, it can usually speed it up. It can usually lessen the duration of an outbreak almost down to half. And so that's good news especially like if you're on vacation or something like that. Now, I do not take antivirals. I did take antivirals for a number of years. I no longer take antivirals. I like to go a little more natural. I take supplements. I like to know that like if I get an outbreak, there's a reason for it. And the reason is either I'm not eating a clean diet, either I'm stressed out. Those are usually the two things for me. And so that's important for me to know. I want to know if my body's stressed. I want to know if my body's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. If there's like if there's sludge in my engine, basically, if something's not flowing correctly, and it's my responsibility to figure it out. So I pinned the supplements that I take that are non-negotiables for me. I have 3 that are non-negotiables. The one I have pinned is the monolaurin lysine combo, just because the lysine is sold out right now. Okay, let's talk about it because it is a non-negotiable for me. Okay, here's what's pinned. Lysine monolaurin combo. All right, here's what it is. Basically, you get the lysine monolaurin combo for less swallows. So I typically take mine separate. The reason why I take mine separate is because the monolaurin dose, if it's just like a regular preventative overall immune boosting situation, the dose is less than what I typically take in lysine. So that's why I usually take them separate. However, for you, if it's the same, or if you have an outbreak and you're going to be taking a lot, then this works great. You get more for less swallows. Why wouldn't you want that, right? Who likes to swallow supplements and pills? I sure don't. So anyways, that's what's linked for you. Lysine is an essential amino acid. It's a protein that helps block the replication of the virus. Meaning, on the flip side of lysine is arginine. Arginine is also an essential amino acid. It's a protein that fuels the herpes virus. The HSV virus loves arginine, right? It's lighter fluid. It's candy. It just fuels it. So this helps block the replication. It helps block the arginine. Lysine does. Now on the flip side, we have monolaurin. Monolaurin is awesome. Monolaurin helps break down the outer layer of an enveloped virus. HSV is an enveloped virus, which means that, think of this bottle. It has a shell. I can't penetrate it, right? Monolaurin dissolves it, so it allows our immune system to go in and penetrate. So these are, we have antiviral properties, we have healing properties. There's a lot of great stuff with these two, and so that is my non-negotiable. If you do want to look at it as the monolaurin as its own, I pinned it. You can check it out. There's the extra strength. You can order this one. Again, I take this. They're non-negotiables for me. Like I said, they're non-negotiables. People have been asking, like, is there a dosage or how do I know how much to take? We'll talk about the dosage. So there's this thing called the Herpes reaction. So when things die off, they give like an adverse reaction. It's kind of frustrating because you're thinking like, oh, well, I should be feeling good and I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling worse. Well, like when viruses or bacteria or things like they die off, like right now I'm on a bacterial detox. When it dies off, I feel bad. And it's like I just want carbs and I want sugar because I want to fuel it, but that's what's hurting it, right? Different subject than herpes. But yeah, you may feel a little icky. So the link that I added will explain to you what, how much you should take based off your weight, based off what you want to do. So I hope that answers your question on monolaurin. And then the final one is angiographis, and it is, boom, angiographis is awesome. It is a really potent herbal extract for your immune system. This is something it's kind of new to me. I've been taking it the last year, and I've seen a huge difference in prodrome symptoms for me. So this is something I like to take. And again, it's new to me. I mean, it's new in the last year. So I've only been able to find it here with Natural Cure Labs. I don't know if other people have been able to find it other places. Natural Cure Labs, aka Palmera Health, is the only company I trust. I've been using their supplements for close to 5 years now. I've been promoting their supplements for close to 4 years now. And what I really like about that is, I got a violation. What I really like about Natural Cure Labs is that they are winning lots of awards for, all the products are made in the US. I know the founder, owner of the company. I know that they have, like, it's lab tested, all these other non-GMO, made in the USA, good manufacturing practice, like all sorts of stuff here. That's why I love the company. All right. Can you get a false positive? I'm sure you can get a false positive, but if you're positive, you're probably positive. I used to be hopeful that I was a false positive, obviously, but I wasn't. So I think that's pretty wishful thinking. That would be great, but false positives are pretty far and few between. If you test positive, then like there's a reason why it shows up on your on your results. Can you have antibodies if you've never had an outbreak? No. Yes, Yes, you can have antibodies. You can test positive even though you've never had an outbreak. So yeah, you can have antibodies for herpes and never have an outbreak. They swabbed a rash type lesion, but they also did a PCR blood type. Then I would say that if your doctor's saying you're negative, then you're probably negative. How soon does it show up after being infected? So once you're infected, once you've come in contact with the virus, it's usually within 2 weeks that you get your first outbreak. Some people have said they don't get outbreaks and it's like years, decades. But for most people, it's within the first 2 to 12 days. So I'd say within the first 2 weeks. Usher's HSV positive. I know. Pretty cool. I got it. 16, now I'm 24. Still feel so guilty and dirty. All right, so let's work on the guilt. Let's work on the dirty. Let's work on those root beliefs. Somewhere along the line, when we feel dirty, when we feel guilty, when we feel all these things, somewhere along the line, we feel that we're not lovable. And somewhere along the line, we felt that love was conditional. And somewhere along the line, we felt that we had to prove who we were. And somewhere along the line, we saw that love or something like that was had to be earned. And so now we have herpes, and herpes confirms that for us. It confirms that you are unlovable. See, you have herpes. And that's the belief, and that's the belief that your subconscious, that's the belief that your ego, that's the belief that you are telling yourself. Even though you're not trying to tell yourself that, that's what you're telling yourself. And I was telling myself that. I'm sure other people listening are telling themselves that. And it's a really deep spot to be in. I do have a full video. It's like 45 minutes long where I go really, 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 I sound like my son, really, really, really big garbage truck. I go really, really deep into talking about being unlovable. If you go to outbreakremedies.com, it is linked for you. I will also pin it. If you go to outbreakremedies.com, I talk about this in detail. You also get a free download. Back to the feeling of unlovable, back to the feeling of feeling guilty, back to all these feelings. This is something I do a lot of work on. This is something we did our retreat on. This is something we talk a lot about, and there's ways to basically get rid of those root beliefs and a way to replenish it. So think of it as like a plant. Think of a plant that has roots, a tree that has roots. We have these roots that are holding us back, making us feel guilty, making us feel dirty, making us feel shameful, making us feel unlovable. And it's our responsibility to find those roots and our responsibility to replenish those roots with beautiful things that make us grow, right? And this sounds like maybe silly, but it's the truth. Unless we figure out what they are, unless we find those, we're going to be held back, and we're going to be basically dating the same person with a different face. We're going to be stuck in relationships or not in relationships, or stuck financially, or stuck in a situation we don't like. And so this is really, really powerful, and this is very, very important to me. Not only to me, but to you, right? And there's a lot of ways we can do that. So definitely watch that video. I definitely give you some tips on how to deal with it. And if this is something that you guys want to know more about, please let me know in the comments, because I am considering doing an entire course on this to get us out of the shame, to get us out of the, look, I'm looking at the hearts. I'm seeing the hearts. You guys are liking it, because this is really what holds us back. So also, I didn't have any pain or itch on the lesion. How late is it for a PCR? So again, for testing, you need to have an actual outbreak to swab it. And then to do a blood test, you can do it anytime. But if it's been less than 3 months that you've had your first blister or contact with herpes, you might want to wait 3 months, because it takes your body about 3 months to make antibodies. You take these supplements and they're the bomb. Awesome. I'm glad you take the supplements. I have them linked for you. Also, I didn't have many outbreaks until now. Now I get one at least once a year. How can this happen? So our immune system can shift. Our bodies can shift. Your life can shift. I totally hear, I didn't have outbreaks for 14 years, and then I've had like one every 2 years now. And I'm like, well, what happened to the 14 years? My bodies shift. I'm a mommy. I get more stressed. You could be having a lot of adrenal fatigue also. That's always a sign. Your mitochondria could be sluggish. Your mitochondria could be having a hard time. That could also cause things like that. So if you're not taking the supplements, I'm a big fan of what I have linked. So they're awesome. Is tea tree oil good if it's diluted with coconut oil? Yes. In fact, I used to do that when I was pregnant because I didn't take any of the supplements, and I would dilute it when I was pregnant. Excuse me, I had a burp. I would dilute it with coconut oil and put it directly on the outbreak because there's like when you're pregnant, you can't do anything, but tea tree oil is great. Also, we have the Secret Society wellness products that I created because there was nothing out there that was organic. There's nothing out there that was natural. There's nothing out there that was able to support the itch, the pain, the tingle, and wound heal, have antimicrobial properties, have antiviral properties, have antibiotic properties, because we don't want like a sore on top of a sore. We don't want an infection on top of a sore, like all those things, right? What we want is we want the pain to go away and we want the blister to heal up as fast as possible, right? Like, duh. And we don't want to get future outbreaks. So we have the supplements to help. And then these are some topical products that you can use when you do have outbreaks. The Secret Society wellness products. This one is for down there. It has peppermint, eucalyptus. It has coconut butter, shea butter. It smells good. I wish you guys could smell it. The other things that we have, which I don't have right here, is the herpes fix-it salve. It is amazing, like bomb.com, amazing. It has manuka honey. It has frankincense oil. Those are both really powerful together in antiviral, in wound healing, in inflammation, in fighting infections. So I combined that together with a salve, and that is amazing on outbreaks. Like, I can't even tell you how amazing it is. You can use it anywhere. All right, done talking about that. How many do you take of each? Do you do more or less depending on an outbreak? As far as the supplements, I follow the recommended dose. So Angiographis, it's 2 supplements. I take that daily. Monolaurin, you're going to want to look at what I talked about. It's Life with Herpes /Monolaurin and more, where we'll talk about the dosage. I believe if you're like just in a, like if you're trying to fight something, I believe it's 6 pills. If you're just in like a maintenance mode, it's 2 pills, but definitely look it out because it has to do with like your weight and things like that. And then Monolaurin, the recommended amount is 1,000 milligrams. Sometimes I'll take more if I have an outbreak. So just, I would look at what it suggests. Can I talk some on nerve pain? Yes, I can talk about nerve pain. Nerve pain is something that comes along with herpes. Yay. The HSV virus lives in the nerves. So some people call it a nerve disease. Some people call it a skin disease, whatever you want to call it. But for me, sometimes I'll feel like a nerve, like a nerve. My ankle sometimes will feel like a nerve pain. I'm like, oh, that must mean I'm getting an outbreak. Why it goes to my ankle, I don't know. People can feel nerve pains down their legs, down their back. You can feel tingles. You can feel like a jolt of like your nerve pain. For me, sometimes it's weird. I'll experience, you know how like you can feel like your nerves go down your body. I don't know how to describe that. Like if you see something, like if you, I don't know. Let's say you're watching a scary movie and something happens and you go, ooh, that jump, and you can feel like the rush of the like your nerves going down to your feet. For me, if that happens and it gets stuck in a certain area, like where I get my outbreaks, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get an outbreak soon. It's almost like it doesn't continue to pass through my feet, if that sounds weird. But that's how I kind of get that. If you've never had symptoms, should you take preventative medication? I can't answer that for you. I'm not a doctor. My own personal situation is if you don't have something, why, like if it's not broke, why fix it? If you're not getting outbreaks, if you're not having any of that, like why take something? That's just how I feel. Did I meet my husband before getting herpes? I did, actually. I met my husband before I got herpes. I knew my husband when I got herpes. I actually told my husband the same day I got herpes. And then we dated about 4 years later. I dated a lot of other people in between. My new date just told me he's got HSV too. I don't have it. How can I be safe? So if your new crush has HSV too, I would do everything you can to boost your immune system. That's number one. For you, that's going to be really important. I would look at these supplements that I talked about. The one that I have pinned right now is Angiographis. That's probably going to be a really great one. I would also look at some other immune boosting, like they have biofilm. This is great for more immune support. I can link that if you want, if you guys are looking at this. I was just talking to my naturopath about this one, and she's like, this one's low in stock, guys. There's only 10 right now. It might sell out on this live. This is great if you're feeling sick or coming down with sickness, with like a cold or something. This is also great for your immune system if you want to take this. It has turmeric, pomegranate, sweet wormwood, cloves, so a lot of good things for our immune system. So if you don't have herpes and your partner does, everything you can do to boost your immune system is going to be what you can do. The next thing you can do with your partner is, if your partner wants to take the antiviral, then having your partner take the antiviral is also going to protect you. It lessens the transmission rate by 48%. Also, using condoms is going to be a great thing. Okay, good thing, not great. Condom doesn't mean that it's going to prevent it, because it depends on where your partner has herpes. And then just communicating with your partner, asking your partner, do you have any sensations? Do you have any tingles? And that's basically the best thing that you can do to help prevent transmission and getting it. Can you basically do things with your mouth if you have herpes down there? So yes, it's just like any other way of being intimate. Communicating that with your partner, making sure your partner feels comfortable, making sure your partner's aware is going to be the best way to just feel comfortable with that. There are some things you can do, dental dams, you can use condoms, and that doesn't sound fun, but those are some things you can do. But using our mouth and having intimacy that way is the same thing as it down there, right? Like doing it intimately down there. So it's just being on the same page with your partner. What are my prodrome symptoms? So prodrome symptoms are itchy, tingly, nerve pain, or swollen lymph nodes, or just feeling like icky can be a sign that you're getting an outbreak. So for me personally, I'll feel like a jolt of the nerve, like it's almost like a lightning bolt, or like I said, almost like if you like get like the chills and like it gets stuck in that area. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get an outbreak. Itchy, sometimes I'll feel like a spider's walking on my skin, but it's not. So that type of an itch. So those are my symptoms. Use Dr. Bronner's soap. Yeah, I use Dr. Bronner's as well. I also use our soap that we have, which is the Reviver soap, which is amazing. I switch between both. What happened, the guy who did that to you? He's married to somebody else. We broke up after 2 years. He's married now. That's what happened. I don't know. I don't talk to him. What was the study? I don't have any information on lesbian studies for HSV transmission. Females are just more likely to pick up herpes than men for whatever reason. I think because we're a little more exposed. But I would just go with I would just look at the normal transmission. Whatever a female is to pick it up would be how I would look at it. If herpes doesn't show up on the blood test, how do I know my boyfriend doesn't have it too? A couple ways to know if you have herpes. Do you have blisters? That's a good sign. But if you're getting negative blood tests, and it's been it's been for more than like 90 days, like if it's more than 90 days and you're getting negative blood tests, then you're probably negative, which is good. My opinion on the herpes vaccine they have on trial. My opinion is when something comes out, I think that's going to be great. I think it's important that we understand what it is that we're looking at, what it is that we're taking. My personal stance on vaccines are don't wait for them. Don't wait. I was diagnosed in 2011, and when I researched it in 2011, they said that it was hopeful that something's coming out. If I would have been holding my breath, I would have missed out on the best years of my life. I would have missed out on dating. I would have missed out on being engaged. I would have missed out on being a bride. I would have missed out on the first years of my marriage. I would have missed out on becoming a mommy. Like, those are all beautiful things. If I would have waited for a vaccine, I would have missed out on that. I would have been putting my hope and my trust in a savior that doesn't really exist. It's you, it's your mindset, it's your mindset on life. So that's my personal take. How did I catch herpes? HSV1, I went on a date. My date kissed me goodnight with a cold sore. HSV2, I dated a guy that didn't know he had it. So we dated for like 3 years. I don't know. How do I get, what does my herpes look like? It's usually a blister. Sometimes it's a paper cut, but it's usually a little blister. How often are we shedding? I don't really know the answer. I've read different things. Some people say it's like a couple times a year. Some people say it's more than that. I don't know. I don't know, and you're not going to know for you because there's no way to really test it. Should you sue for being given herpes? My thought is no. My thought is no, because you made the choice to be intimate and most likely you didn't ask to see that person's test results. I would say if the person like didn't give you his or her test results and or gave you false test results, you can sue. But if you just had the conversation of like, hey, you good? You clean? You're good? We'll just use a condom. We're good. You're just as much at fault of getting herpes as that person is giving you herpes. So unless you ask to see the test results, then I would say that's really different. But no, you need to take responsibility for your actions. So I'm not a fan of suing because you made the choice to be there. That's how I look at it. Can you pass herpes even without an outbreak? Unfortunately, you can through viral shedding. So that's the frustrating thing. Like if we just don't know when we have it, that can be frustrating. If we don't know we're contagious. How can you get herpes? You can get herpes if you have a low immune system and you come into contact with somebody that has herpes. So 2 out of 3 people have HSV1 and 1 out of 6 have HSV2. So you have a roughly 80% chance of like that one person you date has roughly an 80% chance of having herpes, if that makes sense. So it's very, very common. And it's just a matter of talking to your partner. People go, oh, no, I'm good. I'm clean. I get my STD test. I'm clean. Well, most of the time you're not being tested for herpes. So I would make sure that you are specifically asking A, for yourself to get tested and B, for your partner. Does a low HSV antibody level mean it's negative? I would have to see how low, and I would also ask your doctor to define that for you. I can't define that. I'm sorry. Did I have a vaginal delivery? I had a vaginal delivery. I don't like the word clean as we're not unclean. I agree. I don't like using that as well either. I'm using it for an example. But yeah, I'm clean. I took a shower today. Took a shower last night. I washed my hair. I actually put Dr. Bronner's in my hair. I didn't use shampoo. I'm trying to get away from using shampoo, guys. Is that weird? I'm trying to get away from all products that are not natural because those things are just messing our endocrine, something. I don't know. It's messing with our hormones. It's messing with all those. That's why I like our Secret Society products because they're all natural. There's nothing in them that's like going to hurt you or hurt your hormones or anything like that. So they're good. What's weird? LOL. I'm weird, maybe. Is it weird not to wash my hair with shampoo? That's what you're saying? How and when did I become an HSV advocate? I started talking about this in 2017. So I was at a podcast conference and I spoke openly about it, and that's where it started. So I started this in 2017. You're a cosmetic chemist. Wow, that's pretty cool. So you may have a bias, absolutely. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me. Thanks for spending time with me. Thanks for, I just saw that someone purchased some supplements. That's awesome. They're the best. I hope you all have a great day. Let me know what type of content you guys, if you guys want to hear more about belief system and feeling dirty and feeling unlovable. Like I said, I do have a free video. Go to outbreakremedies.com. You can watch it. You'll get a download, then you can watch the video. It's good. It took me like a month to write it. It's good. And then let me know if you guys want more stuff like that, because I really want to get to the root of the issue of Why do we feel unlovable? Why do we feel like we're in like a vortex when we're diagnosed with herpes? I don't know if vortex is the word, but you know what I mean. Why do we feel that way? That's what I want to do. Love and blessing. Keep sharing for content. I enjoy these videos. Great. Thanks, love. You're welcome. All right. Bye, my friends. Have a great weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. Enjoy. Bye.